Hello, welcome to Tales from the Bridge. My name is Tristan.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week it was my pick, so we are going to be diving deep into the film Looper.
But first, we're going to have a few honorable mentions for other movies that start with the letter L.
And make sure you stick around to the end, as we'll be telling you what Tristan's pick is for the letter M.
It's going to be a good one. And if you haven't checked out the website yet, go to talesfromthebridge.com. And wherever you're listening to the show, write us a review. If you haven't done so, let us know what you think of the show. We'd love to hear from you.
Now let's make our way over to the bridge.
All right, guys, let's kick things off with some honorable mention sci-fi movies that start with the letter L.
All right, so the first one that I brought was 1984 classic The Last Starfighter. This was a fairly decent size, like in my childhood. This was a pretty prominent movie. For those who aren't familiar, it's about a character named Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, who he is a like champion at this Starfighter video game. Which he then discovers is basically like a training simulator for actual space battles. So it's kind of like the coolest thing you could imagine as a child, playing video games, made into a movie. So yeah, The Last Starfighter is definitely one of my favorites.
That's a great pick. I love that one. And apparently they're going to not remake it, but they're going to make a sequel. So there's something new coming out with The Last Starfighter. I'm going to say The Lawnmower Man. I don't think it's like a fantastic film. In fact, it's kind of weirdly bad, but it's also kind of weirdly good. It's got Pierce Brosnan, who is actually quite good in it. He doesn't just play the confident, good-looking, James Bondy kind of character. The Lawnmower Man, very weird virtual reality-based sci-fi film. Pretty good.
I'm really glad that you mentioned it because it was on my list, but I wasn't confident in actually bringing it to the table. So thank you so much.
I have not seen nor heard of this film. Does that mean that I get kicked off the podcast?
I would
No,
argue
you
that
did
pieces
say.
of it probably haven't aged super well, especially the main plot point where this mad scientist takes advantage of what is essentially a mentally challenged person,
Yes.
and does experiments on him that like drives him into a murderous rage. So no, you're probably fine.
I'm not missing much. Okay,
Nah,
gotcha.
No.
Right. Well, I'm going to keep things a little bit more recent, which is so unlike me. And I'm going to mention Life. Came out in 2017. It has Ryan Reynolds in it. Don't let that put you off. And it's like a space flick. It's a bunch of astronauts in space. They find a alien life form, and it kind of takes over. And it's a decent little flick. It's worth your 90 minutes, 100 minutes. And Jake Gyllenhaal's in there as well. Rebecca Ferguson, directed by Daniel Espinosa. And the only thing he's done since, I think, is Morbius. So that's a shame. But yeah,
Great
Life.
movie.
Yeah, that was a real kind of, for me, it was a real surprise joy,
Mhm.
actually. I absolutely enjoyed that one. It's a lot of fun. In the interview with Reynolds and Gyllenhaal, their favorite thing about making the movie is they got to wear socks all the time.
Socks.
Yeah,
I
I
saw that
really,
too.
it was an adorable little snippet of an interview. Yeah, it was great.
Which does seem like it would be a perk, to be
Hell
fair.
yeah,
Not really a job
absolutely.
from home in your pajamas like the rest of us bums. So
Right? Totally.
I do like The Lost World, Jurassic Park. I think it's
no,
great.
it doesn't count. We've had this discussion, but I'm going to kind of follow, I don't know, it's got the same first word, Lost in Space. I know it was a TV series, but they did make it into a movie in the 90s. It's got Gary Oldman in it, and it's got Matt LeBlanc. And I remember it not being great, but it's got Gary Oldman in it. So might be worth a revisit, eh?
I feel like your initial feeling is probably accurate. having yeah, from what I can
What are
remember.
you talking about? Matt LeBlanc,
I mean,
Ryan?
come on. I mean, who doesn't love Joey, right? Let's
Mhm.
all just get on board with that.
Joey
Absolutely.
in space.
I guess, yeah, because I guess if you're throwing TV shows out there, is Lost a sci-fi show?
Totally.
I guess.
Totally.
I guess. Maybe not in the end, but
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of. Yeah.
No,
all
it's
right.
totally a sci-fi show.
Sure.
It's got
Anyway.
time travel.
And God, apparently. All right.
No, there's no God in it.
Yeah, I didn't watch the ending either. Okay.
Yeah, let's not.
I want don't talk poorly of Lost.
All right, let's move on. We're never going to get out of this. We're never going to
That's
get out of
that.
this
I'm
loop.
not talking poorly. I'm just saying if you get into a conversation with Tristan about Lost, you're never getting out of that
No, it's
conversation.
true.
So
It's
let's
it's
just.
the veer
We have
out
to
of it.
stop.
You're right. It's a good idea. We'll pull up. Pull up. Okay, we're out of it. Look
Well,
at us.
I am gonna just because I've looked at a list of sci-fi films that start with the letter L. There's a film I haven't seen that I kind of do want to see, and I think everyone should see, and that's Leprechaun 4 in space. That sounds like it's probably really good. Just so
Oh, you
what?
haven't seen it? You're just going off of the
I've
fact
never
that
seen it.
there's a Leprechaun film in space,
Leprechaun 4 in space.
so it qualifies. It's worthy of talking about. I mean, we did do Jupiter Ascending, so how much worse could it be, really?
Oh,
1996. Straight to video. Didn't go to the theaters.
No
weird.
Aniston in that one.
Praise.
No, no.
Oh, that's why
She
it
was
failed.
with Matt LeBlanc. She was hanging out with Matt
Yeah, she
LeBlanc.
was
was
busy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. This week we are discussing Looper from 2012. It was written and directed by Ryan Johnson, who I happen to know Tristan's a big fan of. Stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Emily Blunt, and Bruce Willis. Levitt plays Joe, and he's a type of hitman called a looper. Basically, he kills people that are sent back in time by future kind of crime syndicates to make them disappear. In the future, murder is completely outlawed, unlike present day, I guess. But it's impossible to get away with. So they send people back in time to get rid of the bodies. If you're a looper, eventually you will meet the same fate. That's kind of part of the deal. And when you're sent back in time to be killed, that's called closing your loop. So when Brucey Willis comes along, who plays future Joe, he's sent back in time to be murdered. He manages to escape, and now young Joe has to hunt him down while both versions of him trying to fight over how their timeline, how their lives should unfold. I've been a fan of this movie for a while. This is always one that I would defend and say, you know what, this is a solid flick. Rewatched it for the pod, and now I'm not so sure. I think there's a lot of stuff in Looper that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think we'll probably get into that quite a bit. A lot of the time travel, paradoxical stuff, there's a lot that you can question. And I think maybe the first time around viewing it, I was more taken in by the premise of this movie, which is really cool, like a time traveling Goodfellas. It's great, but not actually the quality of the film. I think the pacing was off. The first kind of act of the film is really strong, action packed, and then the second and third acts are a lot slower. When we are in the barn and we meet Emily Blunt's character, everything kind of slows down. So there are things that I enjoyed. There's some really good stuff about it. One scene in particular, a bit of a body horror scene, which we'll get into, I thought was really well done, really well made, very effective. And I like these actors. I'm just not sure if it's one of our all-time sci-fi greats, and maybe it could have been. What did you guys think?
So I feel like the first time I saw the movie, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I just remember seeing the trailer and sort of just immediately being drawn in by sort of the design of the world, and that like little bit of time travel hook that they put in it seemed really interesting. Also, I'm a sucker for Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis, and I liked the idea of him playing a young version of him. I thought they did a really great job. Even just in the trailer, you could tell like it felt like the prosthetics and stuff were very subtle but like done well, and so I was excited to sort of see them play off each other. And then and I feel like yourself as well, that my first viewing of it, it just sort of washes over you, and you just get like sort of hit by like the neat ideas and the design, and like the pacing is definitely off, but like I definitely left my first viewing of it with like rose colored glasses, I think. And then yeah, seeing it a few more times since then, and then yeah, rewatching it for the episode, some of the rough edges definitely did start to show a bit more. I think for me, those more came out in the character building or lack thereof, or interactions, and just some confusing arcs. so to speak, that ended up showing themselves more so than anything that. When you're watching a time travel movie, I tend to hand wave a lot of shit. Right, like it's because you kind of have to just kind of move on with it, but there's definitely other things that were more difficult to forgive than the self-referential time travel stuff. But anyway, yeah, we'll explore that more. That was me.
I think I'm with you guys. I remember watching this the first time and being like, cool. And I watched it because one of my friends had seen it and said, it's a cool movie. You should see this. So when I did watch it, I thought it was cool. I didn't give it much thought. And like you said, Ryan, hand wavy. And yeah, totally on board with what you guys said. I do not like Ryan Johnson very much for as a filmmaker. I think that he has great ideas, but I don't think they're executed well. And I really do not think he's a good writer. I haven't watched all three of the Knives Out movies. I watched the first one, was like, okay, that was fine. But I hear that these are the films that he's going to be really known for. This is kind of his thing. I mean, and I guess I'll just jump over to Star Wars very quickly because a lot of people are upset about that one still. But I'm not a huge Star Wars fanboy. I probably used to be when I was a kid. I loved Star Wars. Now it's lost its charm. It's just oversaturated. But I definitely think that he just butchered that second movie of the next trilogy they tried to do. And I don't know how they let him do it. It's unbelievable what he did to so many important characters. Absolutely unbelievable. So that's enough for me to be like, okay, now when I watch Looper, let's see what happens. And I'm even more pissed off at just the things that, as a viewer, he thinks that I'm not going to notice. And that pisses me off. If a writer's going to write a time travel story and say, we don't have to worry about the time travel, it's going to be, I'm just going to set it up and then we're not going to have to worry about it. It's like, dude, your whole movie fell apart because your time travel. Like, I'm sorry, but to spoil the end, skip it 30 seconds if you haven't watched it yet. But the ending, the climactic scene, our main character points the gun at themselves. That makes absolutely no sense. The entire climactic scene falls apart because you created a time travel in which a huge part of the plot in this, that when you do something it immediately changes, like when they did that great scene that you talked about when they were torturing Seth, and the older self immediately was losing parts of his body because they were torturing him and taking parts of his body off. Cool scene. Like, I get it. That was a cool scene. And that's why I say Ryan Johnson he gets good ideas. That was a cool looking scene. Does it make sense? No, not at all. Makes no sense. Why would you tell someone to go somewhere by burning something into their arm and then take away their legs? How are they going to get there? Like, there's just stupid little things like that the whole way that he gets these ideas for, and then he doesn't expect you as a viewer to stay with it. So, but at the same time, I do think it's a fun movie if you completely suspend your belief or and try to not be smart about it. Try not to think, oh, time travel movie, let's try to figure this out. Don't try to figure it out because when you do, it falls apart.
Yeah, well, let's get into that because I think that's the main criticism that a lot of people have for this movie. It's the elements of time travel and what rules is this world that Ryan Johnson's created? What rules is he playing by, and do they make sense? And to your first point, well, both of you guys made it. To just sit back and watch this movie and let it wash over you, it's super fun. It's a good ride. It's well enough made. You will enjoy it. So I don't want to like take away from that. Like there's worse. You could have a worse time. However, if you do want to put a bit more of a critical lens on it and look a little bit deeper, the massive plot holes in the film, particularly about the science of the time travel, is really distracting. I know that any kind of time travel film or story is always going to have some level of paradox. That's just how they are in nature. However, this movie has become a meme of itself because of the diner scene where young Joe and old Joe are meeting and kind of discussing the situation. And Bruce Willis's character basically says, just don't think about it. I actually wrote down the quote because it's so great. He says, I don't want to talk about time travel shit because if we start talking about it, then we're going to be here all day making diagrams with straws. It doesn't matter. And that's Ryan Johnson's explanation for you. And I think that's the direction that he's pushing the audience to go. He's like, he's doing the Basil thing from Austin Powers. Oh dear, I've gone cross-eyed. Don't think too hard about it, straight to camera. Like, that's what he's doing. And I think that's his nudge towards the audience. I don't think it's satisfying. And it's like, no, sorry, we've got too many questions here. And you know, I've read a lot of interviews with him about the problems that people have with this film, the plot holes, like you mentioned, Tristan, about why would you send someone somewhere only to decapitate them to the point where they can't get there and to make it. If murder and disposing of a body is absolutely impossible in the future, then why did one of the assassins who came to get Bruce Willis so casually shoot his wife? Surely that's going to be quite difficult for them to like.
Or why would you even
of.
be? Why would you even be sending them back in time just to have them murdered by someone else? Why not just use that machine to send them off world?
To an incinerator,
like anywhere.
to the bottom of the ocean. Why would you assign yourself to kill your older self? Why would you do that? Surely it would be a much more
and that's where I
safe
think
practice.
He's got great ideas. He knew that this was a good hook.
Yeah.
And he built everything around it.
That's the thing. He has explained all of these things in interviews. You know, he said, well, the reason why the loopers kind of kill themselves and close their own loop is because if someone else did it, then they could, in the next 30 years, hunt that person down and stop them from killing, you know, blah, 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 timey-wimey nonsense. It's any of his answers that he gave weren't satisfying. You know what I mean? He addressed all of the problems that people had with it, but it was just like, oh, all right, if you say so.
Part of me almost feels like the time travel piece, afterthought is the wrong word, but maybe more like he's using it like a narrative device in the same way that you could use like classic archetypes to tell a certain type of story, right? Where he's picking out the things that he liked about time travel and the things that serviced his ability to tell the story that he wanted to tell, and then didn't bother connecting anything, right? So to the degree that despite the fact that those things might not make sense, they're all in service of the type of story he wanted to tell and the relationships he wanted to build, right? Without having time work the way that he decided it to work, you wouldn't have most of the relationships in the way that they are. You wouldn't have almost any of the dynamics the way that they are. You wouldn't have the interplay of almost any of the characters, right? So it's almost like he had this story he wanted to tell, but time was the problem. He was like, well, fuck it. We're just going to pretend that doesn't matter. So that
he didn't Christopher Nolan this. He didn't like hire the world's best scientist to figure it out. No. He was just like, yeah, let's just
he wrote in
Bruce
the margins,
Willis a throwaway line.
Yeah, he wrote in the margins time shit and then just like wrote the rest of the script. Because now, okay, so from that though, like there were really nice little vignettes throughout this movie that I actually I quite enjoyed. And that diner scene in particular was, I think, a really nice exploration of one of the like main themes that sort of carries throughout the whole thing, which there's a couple that sort of resurface time and time again, but like regret seems to be like the big bold letters of almost everyone in this movie. Anyone that matters or I find interesting anyway. And that scene with them sitting at the table together and the like angstiness of young Joe and the like tired anger of old Joe and that feeling that like I think everyone has at a certain point in their life that they're like, if I could have just gone back. And not big dramatic ways, even just little ways, right? That we wish that we could just kind of explain to our younger selves what a fucking idiot we were for doing that, you know, that thing or that made that choice, that whatever, right? And so like that piece I thought was really, really interesting. And there was actually a lot of heart in that. And you could almost feel like everyone has worked through those types of things before. And this was an interesting way I thought of actually like explaining it. The problem for me with that though is a lot of the other decisions those characters make as we go, and we'll get to those, especially the big finale. There is nothing about the way those characters are built that should ever lead to him making that decision, in my opinion. But we'll get to that point. But again, without incorporating this silly way that we're confronting time, you wouldn't be able to put these characters in the same place at the same time and have them have the same goals, which in the end are the things that I actually kind of like about it in the end. So unfortunately, I feel like we get too much time with things that we don't necessarily care about and not enough time with things that could be more interesting. Like Sarah and Sid's characters in particular, I thought were actually a very cool element that sort of get played off at the end, sort of more for Joe's payoff than anybody else's. But it also just kind of, yeah, going back to the sacrifice, I guess, that young Joe supposedly makes at the end. This is where I go to the, like, maybe this is the writing piece as well, that if we are supposed to be following Joe's arc, right, we are supposed to understand that Joe had a rough beginning. He makes terrible choices. He has decided basically to live a very short, fast, violent life, and then kill himself, and then that's going to be his path, right? But in the other way the future works out for him, he meets this woman who, like, saves him, right, cleans him up in his words, and basically, like, saves his life, teaches him how to be a decent person again, gets him off the drugs and onto the right path, right? So to me, if we are following Joe's arc, he is the worst he could possibly be when we first meet him, and then the best he could possibly be when we meet him later. That's the guy that murders children. And we're supposed to believe that the Joe at his worst will make the ultimate sacrifice to do what in his mind saves the future, I guess, for other people, not him, because he'll be dead. Like, it's such a like, there is nothing about him getting to that point emotionally that makes any fucking sense to me at all. I appreciate that it's
for
like
a kid that he just met a few days ago or whatever.
yeah, and I appreciate that, like, it's a big, like, moment, right? It's like, oh, the sacrifice, whatever. But it's like, you can't turn that character into a hero by doing something that makes no plausible sense for him to do, considering every single other thing that we know about him up to that point. Right? Like, it just, I do, like, don't get me wrong, I love Emily Blunt, but I do not believe that 43 hours with Emily Blunt is going to make that guy the most compassionate person you've ever met in your life, enough that he would, like, kill himself. Yeah, I don't know. It just sucks all the air out of it.
The young Joe has met old Joe, who has had the experience and has shared the experience of meeting a woman who it drastically improves his life. I think that young Joe probably has a fair idea that his life is not great. He's not particularly happy. So he's got that in his head. My future self found something worth living for, worth coming back in time and seeking vengeance for. He meets this woman. Granted, it's a very short period of time, but okay, I'll give you that. I can't really explain that away. But he's also given a glimpse into an alternate future where he could have a good life, where he has compassion. Like, he started to see how the cycle can be broken. And so do I think that we got enough of that to convince me that he would kill himself within like 2 days? No, yeah, you're absolutely right. No, I don't. But if I was to have a counter argument, I'd say that's what it's supposed to be. He's seen his older self make mistakes, learn from his mistakes. He's kind of wanting to have more for himself, finds it in Emily Blunt and her son, and decides that and also sees that he can't break the cycle within himself. Like, you're saying, oh, but I can't feel for older Joe because he's supposed to be the good guy, but he murders children. But I think that's the point. He was a bad guy. He was born into violence. So Jeff Bridges' character put a gun in his hands and made him a looper. And then he did find love and he got cleaned up. But then as soon as something went wrong with that love, he went straight back to violence. So can you really break the cycle? And so what other choice does young Joe have? Because he sees himself as an old man, violent. Then I'll take myself out of the picture and I'll give this kid a chance to grow up to be something other than the terrorist that he currently is on the path to be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that was the like supposed to be the hammer, right? Like for the nail of it being all about the cycle, 100%, right? Like and uh, as a message, like I think it's a good message, right? The idea that like yes, those cycles do need to be broken, and eventually someone just has to make the choice to make some sort of sacrifice or change to be able to stop those cycles for sure. Um,
I mean, you guys, it's called Looper. Cycles, loops. Maybe Ryan Johnson isn't such a bad writer after all, Tristan. I think you've got him all
He's a
wrong, man.
genius. He's a genius.
Also, I'm going to refer to Sid as the Ryan Maker from now on. I think possibly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now I will say, I am usually not a fan at all of like kid actors, but I really enjoyed the kid that played Sid. I thought he brought it, honestly. I thought he did a really great job. And it was quite a bit of fun actually watching him and Emily Blunt play out their scenes. I mean, she's always to me, I love watching her in almost anything. But it was yeah, really, really nice. And nice to see her give another kick at the can to a time travel movie after the what I would argue to be very mediocre Adjustment Bureau the year prior, 2 years prior, anyway. Yeah, so great to see her back in action,
And then
chomping at that stump.
and Edge of Tomorrow. That's a time loop one.
That was yeah, that was I think that was
That was
after.
later.
I think she got the time bug and was just like we're doing them all now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier about the prosthetics that Joseph Gordon-Levitt wears to make him look a little bit more like he would age into Bruce Willis. I think that was a big part of this movie. Like it was a big discussion point when it came out. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people found it very distracting. I think that there's in movies like this, there is an element of like just having to suspend disbelief. And I would have probably just I probably would have enjoyed the movie more had I just been like, okay, that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's pretending to be a younger version of Bruce Willis, rather than trying to make him look like him.
I
I
agree.
think he did a great job. I think the mannerisms and everything he was working towards it, and it was nice at this point to see Levitt do something other than just 500 Days of Summer as a character. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, he's gone on to do other things since then that are a little bit more character based, which is great. But this was one of his earlier ones, which I thought was it was nice to see a little break from form, but also, yeah, I think that mimicking mannerisms and everything would have been enough. I don't think we needed the fake nose. As well done as it was, I have to say, like, it looked great. It looked real. It
So
was
that's the
just
thing.
too distracting.
I didn't think it did though. I didn't think
Really?
he looked that human. Like I actually think it made him look less of a like he looked like a weird looking human. He wasn't a handsome human. Like look at Bruce when he was in his 20s and 30, 28 years old. He was like hot. And then we and the they did the nose thing. I don't know. He didn't look like a handsome young man. He looked I don't know.
I think
I'm one of the people that thought it was very distracting.
there was angles it worked at and there was angles it didn't. I will definitely say that.
But I
Yeah, there
also
was
think
certain
maybe
shots, but yeah.
it's
No.
I also think maybe it's because Joseph Gordon-Levitt is such a recognizable actor. You know what I mean? Like, we know that face too well. It's always going to be distracting because, like, if he was an unknown, we might have been a bit more accepting of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there was an attempt. Well done.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of like take a look there. Like, obviously not main cast, but like, what were some of the other nice little appearances we liked character wise?
Well, I'm a Paul Dano fan. Like, I do think
Yeah.
that people are a bit divided on it, although maybe they've come back around since the Tarantino thing. But I've always liked him since way back in this terrible film called The Girl Next Door with Emile Hirsch. He's in that. You know, we all got to start somewhere, and I've just been watching him, and then obviously There Will Be Blood. Everything. I think he's great. I think he's a really dedicated, interesting, and intriguing actor. I think it wasn't given much to do in this film, but I'm always going to pay attention when he's in a flick.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's always fun to watch. It
Mm.
never kind of matters what he's doing for sure. I was very happy to see and a little sad that it was so late and short that we got Garrett Dillahunt appearing as Jesse near the end, who's the agent who goes to the house looking for him.
Yeah.
Um, I
Oh yeah, yeah, he's
I've just
fantastic. Oh yeah,
really
right. He
liked
was
him
in
all the
Deadwood.
time. Yeah, yeah, he's been in so many. He's always like he's one of those maybe on the cusp of being one of those that guy actors, right? Where when you see him, you're like, oh, it's that guy. I love when that guy shows up. So yeah, always nice to see Garrett get some screen time. That was delightful.
Yeah, I did find that another thing that didn't make a lot of sense though, because earlier in the film we did spend time with the Gap Men and
Yeah,
with other loopers,
he was not
and
there.
then he wasn't in it at all,
No.
and then he shows up at the farm, and Joe's like, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's a
Yeah,
good guy."
yeah.
I just think that like, did
Did
he
someone
not
get
show
cut?
up that day? Like, was he sick? Did he have a tummy bug when they had to film the earlier scenes? And so we're like, okay, we just have to believe that that this
Right? Or
guy's in
yeah,
this
no, I
universe.
I assumed something had to have been cut earlier.
Yeah.
Or like even just a passing like oh hey like they're in the office together and they just like give each other a what's up.
A little nod.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, but I agree. I love him, and more screen time would have been great. So,
Mhm.
but to mention Emily Blunt a little bit further, yes, I'm happy that she's in this film. Yes, I think she does a great job, and I like that she's doing time loopy kind of movies, but really could have done with her being more than mother. Give her a little bit more to play with, please.
I mean, we've definitely had some unfortunately one-dimensional female character writing in the last couple of episodes in particular. This
Mm-hmm.
one did feel a little more nuanced. Like there was a little bit more there, right? Like
The
she was
axe and
dealing
the
with more
stunt thing
things.
was
Like
was a
I don't
little
know. And
bit.
this is, of course, coming from a man, so you can take that for what it's worth. But like, it felt like she had a lot of like. To me, it didn't just feel like she was playing mom. Like it felt like she was actually very conflicted, and the relationship between her and Sid was rather complicated. And I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was just her swinging an axe. But like it just felt like she did. I thought she did a good job with what she had, and there was a few more layers there than maybe usual. But I don't know. That's just me.
Maybe it's just it wasn't enough.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because it's such a common part of film that
Sure.
female characters are drastically underwritten. Um, just because you've given her a little sprinkle doesn't mean that'll do.
Fair enough.
Give her a token personality and call it a day. I just would have liked to see more from her, but we'll get there one day.
I'll just say that we've had a couple not great films, so I hope it didn't sound like we were coming down on this one again, because this was definitely the best film of the last three that we've watched. So it's kind of fun to critique it, but at the same time, it's it is a good movie, and it's I'm glad it got made, right? Like it's a kind of low budget, high budget but low budget, like not huge
It's
special
it's
effects,
mid
but it's
Yeah. It's mid-budget and it was 2012 that it came out, which was a time where it's just full Marvel movies, and for a um completely independent and unique non-IP movie to get made at that time of this quality, it's a win. And we did mention it before. It is a fun movie. It's a fun flick. But just don't think any deeper than that and you'll be
Yeah.
happy.
I guess the only other thing I wouldn't mind touching on a little bit was just the sort of the production and the style of it, just down to the sort of like not Mad Max, but like almost when it comes to the way people were like modding their cars with solar, and you kind of have this like whole background of how the rest of the world exists. That is never really commented on, right? But like is very clearly being painted as feeling a bit like almost like cusp of post capitalism where like clearly things have fallen apart, like people are living on the street. You have basically two classes of people, right? You've got people who are living on the street, and then you've got people who are riding around in cheaply made hover bikes, and everyone else is just trying to make their cars go with what looks like janky solar mods. So I enjoyed those little touches to like painting the background of the world as well, in sort of a thoughtful way. I thought that was kind of cool. Obviously still keeping within whatever budget they had. Something I thought was kind of funny, just in terms of budget and set, was so They had intended to film all of the future scenes with Joe in France, but they did not have the budget. That's why he's learning French at the beginning of the film, but never goes there. He's actually ends up in China, and the reason for that is when they ran out of production money, the distributor out of Shanghai that was producing the movie was like, "We will pay to bring you and the team here, and you can finish it here, and you can shoot here." And so that's why they ended up actually changing the entire ending location of the movie, because they ran out of money, which I thought was kind of funny.
That's wild. That's
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah, he
I
kind of
thought it was literally just, again, kind of a nod towards being able to change your fate and change your destiny. You know, he's learning French the whole from the get-go, and then one word from Jeff Daniels about "I'm from the future, trust me, you should go to China," and that kind of reset his path. I thought, like, you know what, he could have got away with it. That could have been actually a really nice detail.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, yeah, I liked that little tidbit. And then in the end, like, apparently Johnson was like, yeah, it feels more futuristic anyway. It's like, it's fine. Yeah. That's great.
Like, he planned it all along.
Yeah,
he
played it
would
all
too.
along.
He
Yeah.
would.
He would. Yeah.
Oh, poor Ryan Johnson. I feel like we're not giving him. Maybe sci-fi
He's
isn't
not
his
poor.
strength.
No, he's a mystery. He's a mystery man. He loves his
Yeah, I mean,
mysteries.
I didn't like the most recent Knives Out. I thought that it
Yeah, I
jumped
didn't
the
either.
shark, but the first two I really enjoyed. I thought they were a lot of fun. I love all the celebrities. I love the misdirect. I thought it was really well made. Sign me up.
Plus, just like more of Daniel Craig and accents is just really
Yes.
all I want. Yeah.
Hard agree.
Yeah, but what he did to Luke Skywalker, like he ruined one of the
It's enough. It's enough for the Star Wars. That's
he ruined one of the greatest film characters of all time. Like totally just like
Yeah.
made them an unambitious loser old person character, and he's like the most.
I mean, he was kind of an unambitious loser young character too. If you really want to scroll back in your
He was
Rolodex,
whiny,
like,
but no. By the time you get to Empire Strikes Back, and then
Station for power converters. Blah, blah. Drink your blue
yeah,
milk, Luke.
that's his
Shut up.
character growth. He turns into a hero by the end, and
it
especially
doesn't look like it
Return of
to
the
me.
Jedi. He's a Jedi
Oh man,
at the
no!
end.
But cut that out. Cut that out. I do not need that kind of heat. All right. Like,
No, it's staying in. You're getting
Oh,
the
God
heat.
damn it.
And it's just I mean, just picture Luke Skywalker milking an alien nipple, and then now picture Ryan Johnson licking the nipple.
okay.
Why am I doing that?
You're
Why?
not. No one's
I just
doing
wanted
that.
you to picture that, okay?
No.
Did you
Okay.
do
Stop.
it? Good.
No.
Done.
Okay, so double feature, something that might pair nicely with this. I'll go first, I guess. 12 Monkeys was actually the first thing that popped into my head. Definitely more dark and gritty, but our man Bruce is there again with his buddy Brad in a Terry Gilliam joint that like still fucking kicks ass.
Yeah.
It's such a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it.
And that's a good example of Bruce Willis being able to portray a character without all the action and everything. And there was a couple of times in Looper where I did think, oh, he's playing Cole here. Like he's doing 12 Monkeys. And he did that really, really successfully. So that's a really good shout for a pairing, actually. Especially, I think, if you want to kind of restore faith in sci-fi cinema, then Looper, then 12 Monkeys, I think.
go.
And again, that sounds like we're just like Looper's just taking hits, but I think it's because it could have been successful. It could have been really great and really cool because the concept was really cool. It's just such a shame that it was a swing and a miss. From a sci-fi perspective, from a fun film perspective, all good.
I'll name a couple that are neat time travel movies that I think pair really well. One is Predestination, 2014, with Ethan Hawke. It's just like a thriller, fast-paced, character-driven time travel film, and it's not
and
amazing.
Sarah Snook in it as well. She's an Australian actress, and she's of Succession fame.
I don't think I've seen that one actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
you
really-
haven't seen Predestination?
No.
Ryan,
All right.
Yeah.
It's on the
you'll
list.
really like that. You
All right.
just
Yeah.
have a late
It-
night tonight and watch that movie.
Yeah, and it's got a few I mean, Noah Taylor is always good. I like that guy as well. But there's that one, and then I've got another really obscure film. I've actually watched this twice. I'm kind of a sucker for low budget, cheap um, films of all kind, actually. But there's a film called Time Lapse, also from 2014, and it's just about just like roommates, regular people in a apartment building or maybe condo. I don't know the kind of setup. It almost seems like they're in these little apartments, and one of them goes across the street one day to find that there's a picture of them in a room, and there's a machine that takes a picture of the future.
Oh God, is that what that movie's called? Okay, yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
seen that. I just didn't know that was
Yeah.
the title of the movie. Yes, it gets pretty wild, if
It
I
does get
recall.
pretty wild.
Yeah.
It's the thing is though, it's like it's not a great film. It's not going to be even close to as good as Looper, in terms of
It's much
way the
lower budget, but
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
effective. It's a
yeah,
really, really well made film. I remember that one actually, yeah. And
Mhm.
that might have flown under a lot of people's radar. So that's definitely a good shout, a good recommendation.
yeah.
Time
But
lapse.
I find a film like that exciting because the biggest budget would have been, I mean, there's a lot of things that go towards making this film, but when it comes to special effects, it's really just the machine that they built, which is a prop. There's not much special effects needed. And so to have science fiction and time travel, that kind of reminds me of the movie Primer, which
Mm.
was an excellent time
That
Yeah,
travel
was
yeah.
film.
my pairing suggestion. Yeah.
Well, then I'll let you
Nice.
take it away from there with,
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say you don't need special effects when you do good time travel with well written. And I think that's kind of my issue with Looper is if you're going to do the time travel and make that a part of your story, you kind of have to work a little harder at that, because a lot of these films, that's how they work. Primer is a great example of writing to
Yeah.
your main plot device, which is time travel.
And Primer is really complex as well. Like you do need to sit down and draw diagrams to fully understand that movie, but it's a good um example of how it can be done, and audiences will go there with you if you build that trust with them, and the payoff on Primer is really satisfying as well.
Well, it's my pick for the next film of the month, and I'm a Spielberg fanboy. You know that about me. So we're going back 24 years to the summer of 2002. We're going to hang out with some Tom Cruise, some Colin Farrell, and we're watching Minority Report. Peter Stormare,
All right. All right.
Samantha Morton, Max von Sydow.
No
All right.
complaints from me. It's a solid choice.
This film is really interesting, I think, because it came out in 2002. If you look at the IMDb right now, it's 7.6. I believe that if this film came out in the last 5 years, that its acclaim would be much higher. It is an amazing film. Like it's completely action packed beginning to end. It's Spielberg at his finest. You get all those Spielberg shots, the way that he blocks, the way that he moves the camera. You get the intensity from the actors because he's so good with actors. So this is like amazing Spielberg. And then you got Tom Cruise running. Tom Cruise is so intense because he's being chased for murder. But there's also it's emotional because of his child going missing, and he has a drug problem. Like we can
Man,
just,
you gotta save this.
Yes,
What are you
Yes.
save
doing?
it the
Like,
next
man, what's
time,
going
guys.
on? Giving it
that
away for
this-
free here, man.
yeah, Minority Report. It's got it all. I think Spielberg had just come off of AI as well. So either way,
Stop.
I'm
You're
okay.
goading us into conversation. You're
Not
on a
doing it.
podcast.
Not doing it.
thank you for joining us today. We very much appreciate you. That was a lot of fun. Lots more to come from Tales from the Bridge. Until next time.